So I think one of the things that I want to talk about is financial matters. I think it's so important to think about financial stability. And it's kind of a boring topic. And there's a lot of scam artists that exist, but I think it's really easy if you just have a basic principle that there are a lot of scam artists that exist, and to go with very simple, tried and true things. I think if you have that perspective, right, and you have something where you simply just say, I am going to invest a percentage of everything that I make, something like 10 to 20%, and look for ways that you can diversify your investments, and you do that forever, you often will have more money than you'd ever believe. And I know that this is kind of it's one of those things. It's extremely frustrating as a business professor to sort of teach people this and to tell people this, because they either don't believe you, or on the other side, they're looking for really quick win, things where people are believing that the general, and even if you look on, business news and all that kind of stuff, you don't need to pay attention to any of that. If you think about MSNBC and CNBC and all of this kind of stuff, it's nonsense. If you're to do what I'm suggesting and what is just basic investing that is well told, well understood by almost every business professor that I know that studies investing. So that is accounting professors and finance professors. I've taken, multiple PhD level courses in finance, and the basic principles are super, super simple. And that is just invest a percentage of everything that you make, whether it's 10 or 15% or 20%, some kind of arbitrary number like that. And you invest for a long term in diversified assets. What does that mean? Just broadly across the board, as broadly as you possibly can. And so that often is index funds and mutual funds. Mutual funds have been along forever. And those things are just as diversified as you possibly can get. If you did this, we're not worrying about all of the fancy rigmarole crap that exists and all the stuff that, people try to get you to do, and just all the nonsense, the basic nonsense that you see on business news and all of that kind of stuff. You did that in perpetuity, right? So you did that for, I don't know, however long that you live, right? So you probably have, maybe you're 50 and you have 20 more years of investing. You did that, you would have a lot of money to your name. Now, you might be 20 and you start doing it as soon as you start working, you pay off your debts, do sort of simple things like that. You end up having a tremendous amount of wealth that is built over time. And it's just one of those things that, as somebody that sort of sees this, it's frustrating. And I don't know how to convince people otherwise. So that's the first thing, is to convince people to do the sort of basic stuff like that. That's one thing. But then once you convince them to do that, they have to be wanting to actually do it, right? So the behavioral stuff of it. It's frustrating when you see it, that the possibility of almost anybody, it doesn't matter where you are, whether you are in India or America or Italy or wherever, if you did this, you'd have unbelievable amounts of money. Now, why is that? It's really, really simple. It's compound interest. And that compound interest is something that will continue to grow time and time again if you invest broadly and you diversify your investments. Why is that? You're betting on the economy. That's the only answer that I know is you're thinking about, do I believe that the global economy, do I believe that the economy where I live, the country that I live, is going to grow? And the truth is, yes, I continue to believe that. And the reason is not because of what's actually going on around me. It's always sort of chaotic. And I don't, I get nervous and scared just like everybody else. I see, global trends that are somewhat alarming. But what I look at is the long run trend over time by looking at old data. And that old data, regardless of what happened, if you had invested that money and you waited, if you would have invested in the 1800s and you would have waited, you would have been a gazillionaire, the technical term, by the time you actually got to today. Now, has that been true every decade? Yes. It has been absolutely true that the market continues to go up. And the reason why the market continues to go up is that the economy continues to grow. Now, are we going to run into issues and problems? Yes. Can we solve those with human ingenuity? I believe we can. And I think that's the simple thing that I stress and I think about is not necessarily do I think that markets will go down or go up, whatever, but do I believe in, the sort of dream of our world, right? Like things that will get better in the future. Yes, absolutely. And I think if we just simply stress that and focus on that, about humans doing good things to each other, that, the world will continue to grow based on technologies that come on board, just simple long-run trends, and sort of having optimism for the future, I think we have many, many more years to actually go. And why do I actually believe that? Is because at any moment, if you were to invest and you just simply waited, regardless of how catastrophic the world was, if you think about, if you were investing during the Second World War, this was the Second World War. And things were a disaster at that moment. The atom bomb was invented, all this kind of stuff. But if you invested and you just invested like I suggested, just broadly, and you did that, you would have so much money today, you wouldn't know what to deal with. It would be sort of generational family wealth. And that's what I want you to sort of think about, is not necessarily, investing as in the sense of, like the stuff that you watch on MSNBC and all of this sort of business news. That stuff's garbage. What I want you to think about is like, how can I create sort of family wealth that in perpetuity, when you're gone, will do cool things. Now, you might ask yourself, why would you do that? And the sort of simple answer is, isn't that cool to be able to do that? Isn't that wonderful to be the one person that creates generational wealth where maybe a school is named after you. Maybe your whole family goes and gets an education because of you. Maybe, maybe you build a stadium in your town when you're 90 years old because you just have this, so much money to your name. I think any of those things just seem cool. And yes, it's all pointless, right? Like all of that stuff is pointless. But to me, that seems like the coolest thing that you can possibly do. And it seems sort of, I don't know, in almost like a religious way, just something that is a gift to the rest of the world. And I think that's cool. So if you want to be able to do that, if you want to do cool things, just continue to invest and invest a substantial amount and just do that forever. No matter what's going on, just continue to invest year in and year out. I'm going to continue to do that. I think it's an important thing. Am I going to be worried about what's going on today? Yes. There's crazy things that happen, but I'm still going to invest every day. Every single day, the same story is going to happen. And I'm just going to do that because I think, wouldn't it be cool to be that one person that, I don't know, does that one crazy thing that everybody thinks, how the heck did you actually do that? I think that's a pretty remarkable thing. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.